Hey Scribblers, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Greg Gountanis, author of the Lance Gedrin Mystery Series, available on Amazon in ebook and paperback. I release a lot of writing and publishing related content on my channel, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Alright, in today's video I'm going to continue on the Mailerlite theme from my last video, and I'm going to do a demo on automations. And I think automations are a really powerful tool in your author arsenal if you're trying to market your author brand. So some people call emailing like this an automation sequence. Some people call it a welcome sequence or onboarding. It basically is all interchangeable. It all means the same thing. Basically, what you are trying to do is when somebody signs up for your mailing list, ideally you want to welcome them to your list and welcome them in sort of a series of emails that kind of lets the new subscriber learn about you, learn about your work, and hopefully lets them become a fan of all your future work. Now, the question I often get is, how long should a welcome sequence be? There are some authors out there that have 7 emails, 10 emails in the welcome sequence, and there's some authors that only have a couple of emails. I think the answer to that question lies in what your overall purpose is for your sequence. If you really do have a substantial backlist and you want to little by little introduce your readers to your world, and perhaps it's a really expansive world, then maybe you want to have a decent amount of welcome emails. But for me, I decided to do 3 welcome emails, and you'll see them here as we go through this automation sequence. But basically, my first email is a welcome to the list email, and I have a link for readers to pick up the reader magnet, which for me is the prequel short story to the Lance Gedrin series. So that's the very first email in the sequence. The second email is all about Gedrin, who's my main character. I tell people his quirks, and I tell people a little bit about him. And my third and final email is all about me, the author. So people can learn a little bit about how I started in my writing journey and a little bit about some of my hobbies and my interests. And I feel like for me, 3 is a perfectly appropriate sequence of emails. Now, if you're watching this video, maybe you think 5 is good or 7 is good or 10. That's completely up to you, but the bottom line is Mailerlite allows you to create these automations very easily, and you can scale them however big and wide you want. Okay, so here I'm in my Mailerlite dashboard. I've clicked on the automation tab. Now, in order to create an automation, you need to create what's called a workflow. So we're going to click Create Workflow, and you'll notice we have this first thing here called a workflow trigger and a workflow name. So this name is just going to be for your internal use. So name it something where you know where these readers are coming from. So for purposes of this demo, we can say welcome reader sequence. And then you'll see the workflow trigger. Now the trigger is basically what allows this automation to begin. Does somebody complete a form? Does somebody click a link? Does somebody join a group? And so on and so forth. So I think for purposes of this demo, and probably when you're creating your automation, you'll find that you will generally stay in these first 2 categories. When somebody joins a group, maybe they're tagged, or if somebody signs up for your form. So here, let's do when somebody joins a group. And then you'll notice we have a variety of options here, which group to pick. Here, we'll just go ahead and create a group for purposes of this email, and it'll be called the welcome group. Of course, if you're trying to divvy up your automations from people that come from Facebook or people that come from YouTube or people that come from BookFunnel, you can create separate groupings for those individuals, and you can create separate automations. So here we'll do welcome group, and basically what that means is anybody that signs up for my list and is part of the welcome group and is tagged as part of the welcome group, this automation that we are creating will be triggered and it will begin. Now, the next setting that's very important is the repeating the workflow for people that rejoin. So what this means is if somebody joins your list and they unsubscribe and later rejoin, do you want them to get the same series of emails? So I have checked this off because I do not want readers to think that I am spamming them again or overburdening them with emails, because the last thing you want to do is, if say you have a welcome sequence of 5 to 7 emails and somebody unsubscribes and then they resubscribe, then all of a sudden they're getting the same 5 or 7 emails in their inbox. So I keep this setting off, but of course, personal preference, you can do what you will with that. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then you'll notice here that this little chart has sort of started, and it's going to be almost like a diagram that is going to be created here. So now what we need to do next is we need to expand upon what happens when people join the welcome group. So we're going to click this plus sign, and what you want to do is you want to determine, when people join this group, do you want to send them an email right away? Do you want there to be a little bit of a delay first before doing anything? Do you want a condition to be met, and do you want an action to be taken? So here, first, say we want to create a welcome email that immediately goes out to new subscribers. We're just going to click email. And then here we can title our email. Now, obviously, this is for internal use. But the email subject, of course, will be the actual subject of the email that you send out to the people on your list. So here we could just say, welcome email. What's the subject? Welcome reader. And of course, who is it from? This is going to default to the info when you signed up for Mailerlite. But of course, if you have other info that you want to include there, in lieu of this, you of course can change that, but obviously that's going to be preset. And you can use Google Analytics, and then you can mess with the language. And then now, one of the key parts here is designing your email. How is that first email going to look to people in your sequence? So if we click on Design Email, we can do the drag and drop editor to create an email from scratch. We can look at templates, or we can look at our recent emails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my previous emails from the other automations that I've already completed, so you can get a sense of what kind of emails I created for my sequence. So I'm going to go to Automations, and you'll see that all these prior automations that I have sent out populate here, so I don't have to recreate the formatting or anything like that. So I'm going to select this email. And as you can see, this is the email that I sent out immediately in my automation. The first welcome email. So I welcome them to my Gedrin Readers Club. I tell them what to expect, and then I give them a link to download the reader magnet. And then of course I have, my social links in the footer, and then I sign off. So once you have messed with your email and it's to your liking, you will click Done Editing. And then as you can see, already it has updated on our little chart here. So somebody is going to join the welcome group. They're going to be tagged. And the minute they join, they're going to get this welcome email. And we can continue building the automation or the welcome sequence. So for me, I did 3 emails, like I mentioned earlier, and I did the first email immediately, and the second and third emails came 2 days apart. I did not want to email new subscribers every day. I felt it would be better to do a little bit of a delay, but obviously everybody has their own preferences. Feel free to do what you feel is best for your brand, but for me, I wanted to put a little bit of a delay in there, so readers didn't think that I was over emailing or anything like that. So let's build in a little bit of a delay on this automation. So what we do is we click the plus sign again, and instead of putting another email, we're going to put a delay. And we can set the delay to weeks, months, days. Here, I'm going to put 2 days and save it. And as you can see, it automatically updated here. So they join the group, they immediately get the welcome email, then there's a 2-day wait, and then I want to send them my second email. So what do? I click the plus sign, I click email again because I want to send them an email, and the same thing pops up like it did with our first email. We have to title it. So here, this was the email I sent about the main character Gedrin, so I'm going to call it All About Gedrin. And Gedrin is amazing for the subject. Same thing here, this is preset. Google Analytics if you have it in English. I'm going to design email again. I'm going to go to my recent emails to pick from my automations from before, but obviously if this is the first time you're doing automations and you don't have prior emails that you've sent out, then you're probably going to have to just spend some time and create that email from scratch or from the template. So here, I'm just going to pick one of my All About Gedrin emails from my prior automations. And as you can see, this is the second email in my welcome sequence that I've sent out. I tell the readers about my main character. I do put a link in here in case they had issues downloading the reader magnet from the first email. And then I just proceed to tell my readers about Gedrin, what his quirks are, what he's all about. And then finally at the very end of my email, that's for me the first time in the welcome sequence that I give people links to the other books in the series. So I didn't want to do that in my opening email. I just kind of wanted to welcome them to the list, give them the reader magnet. But here in the second email in the chain, that's when I started telling people, oh, here's the link to some of the other books I have in my series. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done Editing. And then as you can see, it's updated the chart again. So subscriber joins the group, they immediately get the welcome email. 2 days later, they get the email about Gedrin. Now, 2 days after that, I want to send them the email about me. So what do? We click plus again. We put in another delay of 2 days, or however many days you're thinking. If you're thinking about putting a little delay on your welcome sequence, we save it. We hit plus again, and then we design another email. So here I'm just going to put all about Greg. Design the email again. I'm going to go back, pick from my pre-selected automations from before. And here, as you can see, similar template as my other 2 emails. I have, once again, I still included the link there in case people were still having issues. Hopefully by the 3rd email, they haven't had issues downloading the reader magnet. And then I just tell people a little bit about me. And at the very bottom, again, I do have links to the other books in the series. So I click Done Editing. And everything's been updated again. So they join the group, they get the welcome email. 2 days later, the Gedrin email. 2 days after that, they get the email about me. Now, if you want to get a little bit more advanced with this, and you want to, say, remove people from your mailing list that maybe haven't opened your sequence, maybe you want to blacklist them, so to speak, and put them in a group of people that are not opening your list, so you know maybe not to target some of your email campaigns and newsletters to the non-active group. You know, that's something you can do. So maybe let's get a little more advanced with this automation now. So they get all of these emails, and then I want to remove people from the list that don't respond to the sequence, or perhaps move them to a different grouping once they do all the conditions. So what we can do here is, after they get these emails, let's hit the plus sign. Let's put in another delay, and let's say we'll wait 1 week or 7 days. And after that 1 week, we can add specific conditions. And here you'll notice it'll say create conditions. There will be plus, and it'll be red and green. And then you'll notice it'll say, do you want conditions with any rules or conditions with all rules? So here, let's do all rules, which means all of these rules must be met for this particular condition. So here, all rules, we're going to say workflow activity, which is our automation. We have to select our email. So let's say welcome email. And the condition is was opened. That's the first condition. The first email was opened. And then we want to add another condition. Same thing, workflow activity, all about Gedrin email. Condition was opened. Then we add our final condition. Workflow activity, all about Greg email, was opened. We save that. And of course, you can have whatever conditions you want. Maybe you just want to see the people that open up one of the emails in the chain. Maybe that's enough to keep them on your list. Maybe it's 2. But just for purposes of this example, I kind of wanted to get super detailed towards the end of the demo here and make it so that people open all 3 of your emails, and then we can classify them accordingly. So now they get that final email in the welcome sequence. 7 days later, the sequence essentially is going to check if all of those emails were opened, all 3. And then green is if they successfully opened all 3, you click the plus, and we are going to take an action at this point. And what's the action? We are going to either update the custom field, copy them to a group, move them to a group, unsubscribe them, and so on and so forth. Obviously, we're not going to unsubscribe them if they opened up all of our emails. That would indicate that they're pretty active on our list, and they may be active for all future emails. So what we would probably want to do here is we would want to copy them to a group. And I've already created an active group. Of course, you can title your groups how you see fit, but this is just for purposes of this example. We're going to save that. So now, after that week delay and all 3 emails are opened, people that do open all 3 will be put in the active group. Now, what about people that do not open all 3? This is where the red comes in. I'm going to click the plus sign, action. We could also copy them to a group, perhaps a blacklisted group or a non-openers group that we create, or we could be really strict and just unsubscribe them, and that's what I'll put here. So here, if we go all the way up to our welcome sequence to review it, they join the welcome group, they're tagged, they get the first welcome email. 2 days after that, they get the Gedrin email. 2 days after that, they get the email about me, the writer. A week after that, those that have opened up all 3 are moved to the active group. Those that have not opened up all 3 are unsubscribed. And that is the welcome sequence. Now, obviously, you can toggle with it as you see fit. Maybe you don't want any conditions at all, and just you send those 3 emails out, and you just proceed to email people on your list, and you go from there. But every author obviously is going to have their own preference and whatever they feel is best for their author brand. So how do we finalize this sequence? Well, we come up here and we toggle it to on. And then officially, this sequence is in effect. So if we go back to our automations list, you'll see here we have our welcome reader sequence. It is now active, sending emails for people that are tagged to that group. And then once people start actually going through the sequence, this will be updated in your dashboard. How many were sent, how many were opened, how many were clicked, and so on and so forth. And you can divvy this up however you see fit. You can have as many automations as you want. So here I actually have quite a few automations for people that sign up through my form, through Facebook, through books, through BookFunnel, and so on and so forth. These are the new subs. So there you have it, how to create automations in Mailerlite. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments for scribblers out there, leave them down below. I really like hearing from all of you, no matter where you are in your writing journey. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's a way for YouTube to see if my content is resonating with other writers out there. So there you have it. I'll see all of you in the next video. And as always, keep scribbling.